All right. So I'm going to go over just some extra techniques of what you can do with page transitions, how you can create them. I hit on a couple things last time. So this will definitely not be an extensive lecture, but it will have some tips, right? Right. So we kind of left off with that last time. Oh, that one. Okay. So let me go and make a new composition. And I'm going to call this one Radial Wipe. So with this one, I'm going to use a shape. And what I want to do is create basically just like a clock turning, kind of like wiping radially around. Okay. I need a perfectly circled or perfectly centered circle. If you remember, as I drag, it drags from the corner. If I hold control, it'll drag from the middle. But I don't know if I ever hit it like right in the middle of this document. Okay. I may have been close, but not right on. So the easy way to do that is just double clicking. It'll make a perfect circle right in the middle, and I can then scale it from here. I'm going to go into my ellipse shape, I'm going to go into my transform, and I'm going to set the, I'm going to go into, ellipse path, go to size, and make sure this is 500 by 500. That's a good size to start with. Okay, now what I want to do is, if you remember, I showed how you can do the trim path for doing like a line, just like straight animating that. That's how that one's done. But I don't want the fill on this, I just want the stroke. So I'm going to turn off my fill, and I'm going to crank up the stroke. Okay, so that'll be pretty big like that. And if I go to exactly 500, because the item is already 500 units, it's the exact width that I need. So now I'm going to go to my add under here and go to trim path, and then all I have to do is animate either the start or the end. The start will wipe it one way, the end will wipe it the other way.
Oh my goodness, okay, I'm using that. I like that one's cool.
Yeah. Okay, so that's one of the wipes, right? So you can animate the start and end. So I'm going to go here, I'm going to say start, scoot up a little bit, there. Yep. And then I'll do my easy ease, make sure I'm on my speed graph. That might be a little bit too quick though. Cool, I like that. Now, notice in the corners, it's not covering, right? So, whenever you set keyframes, I've only set a keyframe here. I haven't set it on the whole thing. So if I just go to scale, and I just scale it up until it fits, it's good. Still has the same effect. Okay. Now, I'm going to do something like this. I'm going to go like that. That's cool. And then I'm going to animate it scaling down. That's how it's going to fade out. So it'll go like wipe. And then like over here, I'm going to animate it going from this scale to nothing. I'll easy ease it. There we go. Let me set my work area. Yep, that's cool. And then I'm just going to duplicate. I think I'll just do 3 of these. You could. It might be a little bit too much. Whenever you have a lot of things happening in a short amount of time, you want to stay as predictable as possible. So if you try to do like different shapes, then people are going to get like, what's going on? There's too much stuff happening. All right, so let's see what this looks like. Do I like those? Yeah, those colors are fine. Okay. And I just have to change where the scaling's happening so that the back one scales first. There we go. And so now I should be able to turn on motion blur, do that, and then now there is a weird line there. I don't know if it's from, no, I just from my motion blur. Cool. All right, so like I did last time, I go to where this is done, it's gone. I go a couple frames after, I set my work area, and then I trim this comp. And then I rename this so that it says final. Drop it into my comp folder, and now I can go on to the next one. Okay? So for this one, I'm going to do something that's a little bit more complex. I'm going to take one animation, and I'm going to duplicate that animation and put that all over the screen to cover it up. Okay? So in this one, I'm going to make the animation that I'm going to have go all over the screen. So I'm going to do something a bit more complex than the other one. I'm just going to make a solid. Red. Let's go with that green. I like that green today. All right. So I'm going to have this come up and then go like that. Okay. I don't have a name for it yet because this is going to be a pre-comp, so I'll rename that after. So I'm going to, that'll be good. So I'm going to have this scale up like this. So it's going to go bloop and then scale outward. So I have one similar to that already. So let's go set a keyframe here, scoot back, reset. So I have that. And actually I need this to go a little bit further. So I'm going to go that far. That's good. And then I'm going to rotate. So now I'm going to rotate it. Whoops. Just 90 degrees. I'm going to make sure that it stays in the whole time. So if I didn't scale it up enough initially, when it gets to that corner, it may not fill it all the way. That's why I went past my scale. If I set this to just 100, as it rotates, you can see how it's cut off. I don't want it cut off. I want it to be bigger than that, so plenty big. There we go. And then it rotates into position, and then it's going to scale up again. So I will click my diamond to start scaling it. I will go up a little bit more. Scale that up to 100 or less, right there. Okay. All right, that rotate is super slow. Let's fix that. I also don't have ease on it, so let's ease that. Okay, and that should speed up a little bit more. Okay, cool. All right, now I have to get it to go away. So it's going to stay there for a few frames. And then I'm just going to rotate it and scale it away. So I'm going to go 180 degrees. And then I will scale each of these to 0. There we go. Cool. Satisfactory, okay? Now I left a little bit of a distance here because as I duplicate these around, I need to have a buffer where I can start to offset these some. That's my buffer, okay? So I'm going to set this to the end of my animation right there. I'm going to pre-compose or trim the comp, and I'm going to rename this. Scale, rotate, scale. And I'm calling this a pre-comp because this, even though this could be one, this is what I'm going to use inside my other composition. So I'm going to make a new composition, and this will call this tiled transitions. I'm going to drag my scale, rotate, scale pre-comp into here. There's the animation. And then I'm going to scale this down. So if I go to 33%, and go to where I can see the whole thing, there it is. And I just stick that into the corner there. And then I duplicate it and scoot it over. And duplicate it and scoot it over. And then I grab all three of these and duplicate them and scoot them down. and then move that below that, and then duplicate this again, scoot that down, and then scoot that below it. There we go. Now you'll see it doesn't fit perfectly, which I will fix after. But now, there we go. Okay. Now to give it some variety, because this is basically a packaged item, I can rotate it 180 degrees around, and it'll do the same thing, but it'll do it flipped, right? So if I grab, let's say, just random ones, like those are perfect, and I just rotate them 180, they're in the exact same spot, but now watch the animation. It's the exact same thing. All right. I don't know why I thought that would work. That wouldn't work. I need to scale it. I'm going to click my chain off on a couple of these. There we go. And then I'm going to set one of their values to -33. There we go. So now we get, you can see how it's going in different directions. Okay. And then what I can do is I can go to this one. I can go to Effect. I can go to Hue and Saturation under Color Correction. Make sure I can see it. It is. And then I can just slide the hue over. And then I can copy this effect, paste it on the next one, slide that hue over. Copy this effect, paste it to the other one. And you can see very easily how I'm able to take one animation and repurpose it over and over and over again. If I had a bunch of triangles or diamonds or anything, I could get this same effect. There we go. And this one's too close to that one, so there we go. Okay. Cool. So now I'll give them a little bit of offset so they're not all perfectly lined up. I think that might be too much offset. Okay, now I still have that little edge to deal with, right? So let's fix that. Close this. I can do a couple things. The easiest one to do is if I made a new null in here. I'm going to put it in this corner because I know that this corner is like lined up perfectly. And then I'm going to take all the layers below it, parent them to the null, and then I can just scale the null up. So I scale this to, let's say, 102. Perfect. Okay, so there's a little bit of overhang right there, but no one's going to miss that. I'll throw a motion blur on. Okay, so do we have motion blur? No, why not? This is on. These are on. Is there any motion on any of these? No. Right, it's all here, right? All my animation is actually here. The other ones have no motion, so they have no motion blur. So I have to turn it on here. There it is. Now when I come to there, this button turns it on, but this doesn't do anything. Okay, so just be aware what you're looking for so that you know whether you have it or not. Okay, now also be aware of this button. If I click this, look right there. See how they're overlapping? Because it went outside of those bounding boxes in the other comp, when I click that button, it goes outside of their bounding box here. Okay? So certain things we want on, certain things we don't. Obviously that one we don't want on. Oops. Okay, so any of your things, you could do the same exact kind of thing to it. Like I could take this one and put that as the animations for all those other ones. And just so you can see another neat After Effects trick, let's say I want to do that. Here's my animation. Everything's set up, but I just want to replace all of these with a new animation. If I grab all of them, I go into my compositions, I find the one I want, which I think is PT center scales bar. I hold down Alt and I drag this on top of it. Now they're all that. Okay, so again, lots of power, lots of things we can do. Use a variety of methods. So far we have basic rotate, position, scale, that kind of thing. We have adding multiple ones, so it's not just one, just position or rotate or scale. We have multiple things. We also have using the radial thing to have our transition happen. This one, right? That's another one. And we also have using the pre-comp as something. Okay, so use a variety. I don't want to see the same thing 5 times. I want different things. Cool. Questions? Yes. Do arcs the same way that I did the other one. So let's make a comp. Actually, let's just go here. I have no positions on these. There we go. So if you look right, that happens too quick. Let me delete this and this. And go here. There we go. So right about there is where it starts. And then it goes there. Okay, so there's an arc. And then if I change the thickness of this, then we'll get more of like a rainbowy effect. And again, that could then be scaled up. Right, so you can fill the whole screen with that kind of thing. That's actually a neat one. Yep, it's just a matter of applying the same concepts just in a different way. Cool, anything else?